Joe Burrow has reportedly tweaked his calf during the game and is either going to play through that injury or he'll miss 2 to 3 weeks just to rest it up. And
Dang.
can the Bengals afford to lose Burrow, and can they afford to have one win heading into week 4 or 5 of the NFL season? Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, episode 11, where we talk the NFL and college football. Just wrapped up the second week of NFL games. The Steelers and the Browns just finished 26-22 win for the Steelers. But we'll get into some of the headlines for the NFL and college football, starting with the NFL. Can Zach Wilson turn it around in New York? The Chargers are in turmoil after dropping another game in close situation. Are the Miami Dolphins Super Bowl contenders this year? And Sam Howell, is he the truth for the Commanders under Eric Bieniemy's offense? Are the Falcons for real at 2-0 to start the season after a comeback win against the Packers? Is it panic time for Joe Burrow and the Bengals? And is it an overreaction to call Justin Fields a bust after his first 2 years in the NFL and then the first two games that you've seen this season? Then we'll transition into college football. Travis Hunter, injury, missing 2 to 3 weeks minimum now, so he'll miss the Oregon and USC game. And how does Colorado match up in Oregon this coming weekend? Florida State won over the Swamp and will head to and play Clemson next. And then McCord looking like QB1 for the Buckeyes after a great performance from him and a dominant win again for the Ohio State team. And then we'll look at Malik Neighbors, who went ballistic in the first half against Mississippi State and put LSU back on the right track. FSU, Clemson prep, Notre Dame, Ohio State prep for those two games this coming weekend. And then who is your Heisman favorite right now? But we will start in the NFL with Zach Wilson. And can he turn it around in New York? Obviously a tough loss to the Cowboys this past weekend. What are your guys' thoughts on the Jets season?
I mean, honestly, I think it's going to be all based off of the confidence that they instill into him. Like, if his teammates and coaches are there for him and, like, in the media, they're putting out there, like, they're confident going forward with him, I think that could help him a lot. I don't think that put them in, like, a deep playoff run or anything like that. But I think if they just install some confidence in him and, like, show that they're riding with him and they're not out seeking to replace him, I think he can have them in a wild card conversation. So I think they
Nah.
could make it. They probably won't, but he could have them in that dogfight where by the end of the season they're still playing for something. But I think if his teammates are like throwing shots in interviews and like making it clear that they're just not confident in him at all, I think that's gonna hurt his confidence. And then that's when he started making a bad decision and start second guessing himself. So I mean, but I think they definitely can make a move somewhere to put themselves in an even better position. But having to fall back on Zach Wilson, I think they'll be in like the wild card race, like a game or two out, maybe make it. I don't know, somewhere in there.
No, I don't know, Zach Wilson. I mean they're just in the same situation they were last year. All of
Yeah.
training camp he was the number two QB. Like he just like it just like had been such an unfortunate situation. They're legit just in the same position that they were in last year. I think they still missed the playoffs. I don't think they improve anyhow in any shape or form. Um, yeah, I think I mean, they're the team that could upset a good team on their way throughout the season. That's as much as I think the Jets are.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a team that's going to make the playoffs, but they're a team that could give some teams like the Bills the issues or the Miami Dolphins because they can beat them.
Yeah, I think like the Jets, like they're gonna have a good defense all year, like a top five defense, like the numbers, like they're gonna have amazing defense. Like they're gonna be able to stop the run, but like they're not gonna be able to score more than 15 points a game. Like Zach Wilson handcuffs them so bad, but I understand like he did play against the Bills, and then he played against the Cowboys, like in Dallas. Like I think the Cowboys, like their defense is insane. Like I don't think anyone's gonna score over 20 points on them. So we kind of I mean, I think they can maybe sneak in, but I mean the AFC is really good this year, so it'll be tough. But I hope they do because then maybe like it'll give what Rogers was saying like some hope to maybe he'll be back. But I mean they play the Patriots next week at home, be a good matchup. So both teams are kind of in that same tier where they got a defense, but just the offenses are kind of struggling.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see, like, Garrett Wilson came out in support of Zach Wilson after the game and said the players around him need to play better and to make his life easier. And then Breece Hall posted those 4 footballs obviously on Twitter, then deleted them later, just mentioning that he only got 4 carries in the game, where you'd think that they'd lean on Breece a little bit more. Obviously, he's on still a snap count coming off that injury, but that 4 carries seems like a little too little for one of the better young running backs in the NFL. But we'll transition, moving into the Chargers. Another, I wouldn't say heartbreaking loss, but another tough loss as they lose another close game. What are your guys' thoughts? Obviously, we talked about Brandon Staley before the season. What are your guys' thoughts on them now?
I said he was going to get fired by week 5 this season, or so around that area. Because I said that I knew they're going to have very, very disappointing losses. Like, they should not lose to the Tennessee Titans. Good, hard-fought game against the Dolphins, but they were the favorites going into it to win that game. So I think that Staley's going to get fired. Staley's going to get fired. He's going to I think they're going to win their next 2 games, but then they're also going to just go on another 3-game losing streak, and he's just going to lose his job. I think I don't really have high hopes as long as Staley's in charge of the Chargers, because he's a defensive coach, but yet his defense just can't pull it together.
I think they just go ahead.
I had them missing the playoffs this year. And I don't think they make it. And I think Stanley will keep his job this year. I don't see him switching halfway. Who do you even go get? I don't know where you'd find a new head coach. Unless you fire him and then just hire someone within the system and then find one after the season, I could see that maybe. But I don't see him hiring a new coach and picking someone up and just being okay, turning around. But yeah, I do think they get a new coach next year, an actual one, maybe someone from college or.
I think Eric Bieniemy. I think if because I think Washington's going to make the playoffs. So if Washington makes the playoffs and Staley gets fired, I think Bieniemy's going to go to the Chargers because that job's going to be.
Isn't he under contract? Or is that not a thing?
Bro,
no, but I also think. On top of that, though, the Kellen Moore just being added to that, I feel like they'd promote from within and have him move up to the head coach from the offensive coordinator if the offense looks somewhat decent this year, because they always have a top offense. It's just their defense can't stop anybody. And so I think they'd go for that approach and then try to hire one of the better defensive coordinators on the market, whoever's looking for a job. But we'll move on. Obviously, that was a great game this weekend. And we'll move on to another solid game as well, that Sunday Night Football game, the Dolphins and the Patriots. And Tua quarterbacks another win and another on-the-road victory as well in a hostile environment. And what are you guys' thoughts on the Miami Dolphins? Are they actual Super Bowl contenders this year?
The Dolphins? I think so. With that crazy offensive power that you have, you have a chance with a good offensive mind coach. You have a chance to go very far. We saw with Sean McVay and the Rams a couple times. You can make it far in the playoffs with a good offensive mind coach.
On that note, Jalen Ramsey coming back too, just like McVay.
Coming back. Defense, I was just about to say something about the defense. The defense is solid. They make plays at the right times. And you're going to add a superstar, one of the best corners of this decade, back on your roster in December or early November, at the end of November, December. So I think they could push through the playoffs, through the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I could see them making a little run. With Ramsey coming back, but they look good. Usually, the Dolphins usually have trouble with those Sunday night games and kind of those games where you don't really know if they're gonna win or not. It's a tough place to play at, in New England Sunday night, tough place to win, on the road especially. But they looked. It didn't even look like a game really. They really didn't have any juice, nothing. The Pats were kind of just they just kept them out of the game basically the whole time. There weren't really any moments where it was oh shoot, they look good and they look good this year.
I think the Dolphins, as far as the Dolphins, I think they're gonna go as far as the defense take them. We see the show that the offense puts on. They can shoot it out with anybody. So at the end of the day, whenever that defense decides to stand up and get 3 and outs and let the offense be on the field as much as possible, they're going to put up a lot of numbers, and it's going to be hard to keep up with. But if every game is a shootout where they have to get in these last second and winning drive situations, I think that can get a little tough. I think when the game gets closer, Tua starts questioning itself a little bit, or he just starts moving too fast. And the slip fumbles, the mishandles, the missed snaps, and all those things starts to happen. All the fluky stuff starts to happen, I feel like. But like just in the midst of the game and just the pace of the game, they just go so fast that I think it's gonna be hard to keep up with. And if the defense can do what they gotta do, it can go far.
Yeah, you mentioned the shootout, and in the playoffs, that can be a problem for many teams. Like you see with the Bengals and the Chiefs, and when they're duking it out, like it can go either way when your defense can't get a stop. So yeah, the defense is definitely key for the Dolphins to make a deep run in the playoffs. But speaking of a team that has another young quarterback, Sam Howell gets the dub in Denver and pushes the Broncos into somewhat of turmoil as well, but we're going to stick with the Commanders. A great start to the season for Sam Howell and that offense. What are your guys' thoughts on them?
Bro, they're fine. Like, I think the Broncos, like, they're not going to be doing nothing crazy. Like, I don't see them. I mean, I could see them maybe making the playoffs, but like, they have no chance of winning their division.
You mean
So, I mean,
Commanders, not the
they have no chance of winning their divisions. So, like, I mean, they play the Cowboys twice, Eagles twice. Like, both those games are going to be tough to win. So, I mean, it's going to be close, but like for them to make the playoffs. But I mean, it was a big win in Denver, down 21-3. Like, it looks like there was no chance of them. It looked like there was no chance of them winning that game. But then they just kind of fought back and got back into it. But yeah, I mean, Sam Howell, he looked solid. But I mean, he also has like the best offensive mind in the game. So I mean, I'm sure a lot
he
of
does
QBs
not, bro.
Where you get that
Stop.
from?
Like, where'd you get that from? Like, Eric Bieniemy, yes, he is good.
Yes.
Like, he's taking plays. They're taking plays. Like, those are Andy Reid's calls. We all know that a lot of those was
like,
it was like a 75-25 deal with those two. It was a 75-25 deal with those two. Like give Andy Reid 75% of that credit, but definitely no. I said it at the beginning of the season. Howell's like that. I said it before the season even kicked off. I said he's gonna go crazy, and I think like they look good. Like they came back. Like it's a tough Broncos defense on paper. They're healthy on paper, and like they just like kept chugging through. Scary Terry was making plays. Like he gives his wide receivers a chance. I feel like, and that's what I liked when I watched that game yesterday.
Yeah, and something that you don't see as much with Andy Reid is the running back absolutely exploding with Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
18 carries, 87 yards, multiple touchdowns. I mean, you can't have a better game on the ground against one of the best run defenses in the NFL and one of the best defenses for the past few years in Denver Broncos. And then the ending of that game, absolute insanity. Just a Hail Mary tip ball falls into the arms of Johnson in the end zone, and then you fail the 2-point conversion. It's just the story of the last few years for the Broncos, just right there, but not good enough. And so it'll be interesting to see how their season plays out. But we will move on to the Falcons, who have had some good fortune in these first few games, pulling off a 1-point win at home over the Green Bay Packers after being trailing pretty much the entire game. Didn't really utilize Kyle Pitts once again. More targets to Jonnu Smith than Kyle Pitts. Drake London got on track, and Bijan Robinson looks as good as expected. What are your guys' thoughts on that offense and that team in general?
I think you go with Gabe.
Oh yeah, the Falcons. Like, I mean, I think they're kind of like they're close. I think they're a little better than like the Buccaneers are 2-0. Like, I think they're kind of around like they played two kind of mid teams and like they barely won that Green Bay game. And if you watch that game, like Jair dropped a pick six, Quan Alexander, he dropped a pick that probably would have been down to like the 10.
17 tackles too. That man, he's exploding this year. Quay Walker's very good.
Yeah, but they dropped like 3 picks, and I don't know. They just kind of, I think that like, I don't think the Falcons can't win it. They're not going to be able to do anything with Desmond Ridder. Like he's not that guy.
Nothing. They had 2 good matchups, bro. Their first 2 weeks were good matchup, winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
Not sold on Ridder at all. They have the pieces. They have the running backs, the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean they came back?
They got the pieces.
What do you mean they came back in the fourth quarter?
Bro, that's
you down a man 2-0.
That's against
No, the Packers defense is good.
It's good. No, it's really good.
No. The Packers defense.
The Packers
they
have a really good
defense.
defense.
A really good defense. Like, you gonna discredit them, man?
Bro,
Desmond Ritter's not good, Mike. He should have thrown like 4 picks. Okay?
Like, bro, the shoulda, coulda, woulda. He's the one walking out the dub. It's football.
He didn't win him that game, bro. Like,
it shoulda, coulda, woulda. They won. Job finished.
I'm just saying, I'm not sold on it. He got the W. He 2-0. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just not sold on him being a QB.
Yeah,
take him to the next level. That's all I mean. They got the pieces, but before they start contending again, no. I think they have to get a better quarterback before they start getting to the point where we're going to be 13 and 3 or 11 and 6.
This is like it's like his third, fourth start in the league. It's like
he started the last 2 games last year, last 3.
Yeah, so this is it's like his fourth and fifth game. So bro, he's still like a rookie. He's still learning to get his
That's
fine.
In the league. As of his 4th or 5th third game,
I think he'd be solid. I think he can be solid. I know he looked better than Kenny Pickett today.
No one looked better than Kenny Pickett.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
We can get to that debate. We can get to that debate after we finish all the other ones. But on this note, there's 3 undefeated teams in the NFC South. I don't think anyone would have predicted that heading into the season through the first 2 weeks. And 2 teams just played today, the Saints and Panthers. Obviously, the Saints got the W. But we'll move on to another subject. Joe Burrow has reportedly tweaked his calf during the game and is either going to play through that injury or he'll miss 2 to 3 weeks just to rest it up. And can the Bengals afford to lose Burrow, and can they afford to have 1 win heading into week 4 or 5 of the NFL season?
I don't know, dude.
They can't.
Like, they look...
not if they're looking to compete right now. Like, if they're looking to compete right now, then no. Like, absolutely not. And if that was the case, they should have pulled out these first 2 games if something like this was going to happen. Like, it'd be a lot better shape if they're 2-0 and then going in this situation where they can come out like 2-4 or something like that, or 3-2. But no, coming in week 4 or 5 with 1 win in that division, the Ravens, no.
They got Rams next Monday night at home. I mean, the Rams looked good.
Who's playing good? The Rams are playing better.
Yeah, the Rams are. They're in a surprising, dude, Puka Nacua, most receptions ever in the first 2 games for an NFL player.
And then they got that running back who's going crazy.
Kyron Williams from
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Which one?
Nice.
Kyron Williams.
Yeah,
his second year player, right? He was rookie last year, I believe.
Yeah,
he's nice.
He's a 3-down back, especially he's durable and he's one of the better pass catchers for the young backs right now.
Is he over?
He's definitely dude. Cam Akers is fully frozen out. They froze him out. Like, the funniest thing is they didn't even tell him that he was on the trade block. They didn't tell him nothing.
That's
so they deactivated him game day, game day of the game. They told him he was deactivated. Didn't tell him anything before it, and now he's on the trade block. And I suppose there's trade talks right now going around him, but. It's been the story of Cam Akers' career so far. Every single year to start the season, he's the guy. Sean McVay loves him. Then week 1 or week 2, the second RB outsnaps him. It happened with Darrell Henderson last year. Happened again this year. Even Ronnie Rivers outsnapped him in a few games last season as well. And now we're seeing it happen once again, but now it's the extreme where it's not Cam Akers asking for the trade. It's now Sean McVay and the general manager saying, you're on the trade block, you're not playing this week. So
he's probably going to go to Minnesota.
I don't think he will, though. I honestly don't think Minnesota is going to pay for him, and I don't think he's just another trash. No, he's another Madison. Alexander Madison. He's the same type of running back. There's no reason to trade for the same running back. I wouldn't call Madison trash.
Madison's trash.
No, Minnesota's been one of the worst run blocking teams in the NFL through the first 2 weeks.
But Dalvin made it.
He's a backup.
Dalvin made it work. He's a backup running back. He's not a star. When he gets
Dalvin
touched,
did not make
down.
Dalvin did not make it work. Look at what Dalvin's doing this year. Look at what Dalvin's doing this year. Dude, Minnesota was yes, and Minnesota was one of the better run blocking teams last year. They're terrible this year at run blocking.
What lineman did they lose in free agency?
No, they've just regressed. Every player has regressed on that offensive line and run
Dalvin
blocking.
made it work. You're just saying Dalvin made it work.
I'm hearing
That's
Dalvin
legit
made it
what
work. You
just
talking about
saying.
they regressed,
You're
but
hearing
this is not
no.
Madden franchise.
It's the same lineup, bro. Derek is actually getting better. He's getting older. He's getting better.
Or maybe they figured
Madison
out
was a backup
O'Connell's
running back.
system. Maybe they figured it out. It's a second-year coach. It always happens.
I mean, trash.
Bro,
Man. Somebody
He coached a Super Bowl team, a team to the Super Bowl with McVay. Like, come on now. Like, he's not figured out. Madison just sucks. Like, it's just clear. He just sucks.
We'll see in a few weeks. He'll get his opportunities. We'll move on though. Justin
I better go
Fields.
get one of them Eagles running backs.
Please.
Justin Fields had another tough week. Pretty much game-losing interception in the 2-minute drill, but also questionable play calling from Getsy and the offensive coordinator. They run the same screen to the same side of the field twice in a row, and the second one gets intercepted by Shaq Barrett. What are your guys' thoughts on Justin Fields? The expectations obviously coming into the season were lofty, and now it's panic time in Chicago for all the fans and just the GM as well. They had the president of the entire organization publicly saying this is not what we're about. What are your guys' thoughts on the Bears?
Hey,
I got to defend my boy. I have to defend my boy. See,
bro. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm happy because as long as Justin Fields is on the team, they're not going to be winning, and we're going to get the first overall pick again. So
see, I got to come defend my boy, bro. Here, I see the clips, I see the videos.
The O-line is trash.
The O-line is trash. Like, look, Joe Burrow's 0-2 right now. Like, so, like, let's calm down. Joe Burrow's 0-2 right now. Like, this is a brand new team. This Bears team is really, really new. DJ Moore, new person on the team. Darren Mooney's getting used to being the number 2 on the team. New O-lineman, new defense. Like, all this stuff is makeshift. Like, I think he just needs to get more comfortable. Needs to tune out the noise, and I think he'll be good.
No, but for Burrow, he went on the road to Cleveland in a rainstorm and they lost. And then he went and tweaked his calf mid-game against the Ravens and lost by only 3 points. Like, Fields has had 2 home games. They lost to Jordan Love and the Packers, and then Baker Mayfield.
Bro, Jordan Love is
in Tampa Bay.
Like,
But he's not.
So
He's better than Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. Like,
no,
Like,
but
no,
exactly.
no,
Those are
nice.
the 2
That's not what I'm
quarterbacks.
saying.
But those are the 2
nice.
quarterbacks that the
I
Bengals.
just felt like I just felt like you threw a subliminal diss to my man. Talking about something.
No, I'm saying that the 2 teams that the Bengals faced were way harder, and they were on the road compared to Fields, who's at home twice
but
against
Packers
2
is
worse
hard
teams.
Okay, he don't even play against Jordan Love. I'll be honest. He playing against the Packers defense, which is one of the best in the NFL. That is a top 5 defense.
Okay, but you were just saying the Falcons aren't all that, and they lost to the Falcons.
I didn't say they weren't all that. I just said I wasn't sold on Ritter. They have all the pieces. They won because of their pieces that they have.
Bro. And plus, like, people are forgetting.
Ritter
like,
didn't win them the game. Go look at Bijan Robertson. They won because of them pieces. I just said I'm not sold on. Like, it's like the 49ers. I'm not sold on Brock Purdy winning them the Super Bowl.
They're
good.
Nice.
They're gonna go far.
They're nice.
Oh, Fields is gonna keep losing him games. Like, he was so he lost in that game. He lost in that game,
bro. The O-line,
bro. Tampa, Tom.
Bro,
Brady
there's
might have
so many
retired.
plays though. There's so many plays where he just has time, sits, and
they don't get open. If you double team DJ Moore, Chase Claypool is trash. Darnell Mooney is too small. He don't create separation. They double team DJ Moore. There's nothing. Cole Kmet shows up when he wants to.
Bro, like, dude, Tampa Bay's defense is good. Like, Tom Brady might have retired, but that defense is the same. Like, that defense is great. It's
These
a top
defenses
10
be
defense in the league.
good.
Like,
yeah, but the Bears are now 0-12 in their last 12 games. Like, the last 12 games they've played, they've lost all 12.
Who they play next week?
We'll look that up.
McKay,
I'll look that up.
Get back at me. When Justin Fields, when he play the Vikings, if he have a trash,
they play the Chiefs next week, boy.
If he have a trash that line against the Vikings, I'm gonna say bye.
Like, there's
bro, it's good. Bro,
yeah,
he plays the Chiefs next week. It's cooked, bro.
Yeah, they play the Chiefs,
terrible.
and then they have to play the Broncos, and then they play the Commanders. That's their next
Watch you
3.
beat the Chiefs.
Bro, no.
If he beats the Chiefs, that would be crazy.
I think it's
That's
at
so
Arrowhead. It's at Arrowhead. So
Chiefs are a 13-point favorite. Like,
it's
bro.
beating the Chiefs
let's
at
bet 20
Arrowhead.
to 200.
No.
Well, speaking of betting, we'll move on to college football. You and Jacob were discussing a bet, Deontez. Colorado heads into Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks this upcoming weekend. Travis Hunter will not be playing. He's out 2 to 3 weeks after a dirty hit on him on the sideline in that game against Colorado State that they won in thrilling fashion, a walk-off TD in a sense. Not really a walk-off, but in overtime. What are your guys' thoughts on Colorado, and can they pull off a massive upset on the road?
Doing the shadda. You gotta do the shadda on Saturday. You feel me?
What's the
Oh,
line
It's
for
gonna
that
be
game?
great. Do the shadda,
I'll look,
nigga.
I'll look at it right now.
The
'Cause
shadda.
honestly, they're gonna spread that Oregon defense all
It's
the way
minus
out.
21. Oregon's favorite 21.
Oh my God. They think Travis Hunter that much of an X factor?
Like, bro,
Like, bro, that man, bro,
I don't-
that shadda.
this is what people got to realize, right? There's like a 53 people on the roster, right? He had
Bro.
80. He had 87 transfers. That means when one person go down, there is a former Alabama commit, a former University of Houston commit, a former Clemson University commit, a former
true.
Oregon State commit
That's
waiting
true.
for their shot.
No,
That's what's
but-
waiting.
Hey,
It's not
but,
like the walk-on from
That's true.
Mississippi is waiting. There
Nah,
is
but-
another
That's
former
true.
D1
but
player waiting. to step up.
you're replacing possibly the Heisman like
But
candidate this
Horn's going
season.
crazy too.
That's
Like,
fine.
bro, you act like
but what I'm
Horn's not
saying,
going. Horn Jr. is nice.
Bro.
Edwards is nice.
what I'm
like,
saying is,
shit,
it's not
dude,
going to be a
like, bro, there's
walkover.
so
Like,
many
Yes,
targets. No.
but Colorado
Dude,
State should
Oregon's
not
not
have
gonna
been in
beat
that
them.
game, and they probably wouldn't have been if
But
Travis Hunter
every-
plays
It's a
bro,
that game.
rivalry game.
we've
bro.
all lived
It's
long
a
enough.
rivalry game, bro.
yes, bro, and we've
bro,
like,
those
bro,
games are supposed to be close. It's cross town beef, bro. It's 45 minutes of history right there
No.
between each other. It's
How
45 minutes of history between each other.
With
Bro,
who?
Colorado State and
I'm
Colorado.
just saying
It's a
let's not
rivalry
act
game.
like we haven't seen. Like, that doesn't make sense. That analogy makes no sense. Colorado beat TCU. I guarantee TCU would smack Colorado State by 50.
Dude, Colorado State lost 50-24 to Washington State.
Right? And you think
Yes.
Washington? You think
Like,
Colorado
it's a
doesn't have a chance of
rivalry
beating
game,
Washington
bro.
State?
Like, that's all I'm saying.
No, but I'm
That's
saying
all
that
I'm
they
saying.
beat Washington State beat them by 26, which shows you that against a ranked opponent, they were completely obliterated, like on the
That's
field.
fine. But you're trying to say Colorado.
I'm saying they would no. I'm saying that Travis Hunter makes that much of an impact that if he's on the field, they would have blown them out.
No, they wouldn't have.
Yes,
that
they would've.
game was going, bro. Them dudes on
They
offense
might've.
was
I
running
don't know,
them
they might've.
drag slants
They
routes.
might've.
What,
Dude, those
those was happening either way it go.
Bro, they had a pick six with Shiloh, and then obviously the fumble
Had
with
nothing to-
Travis Hunter. That's the only reason why they won the game. And then that massive hit. Like if Travis Hunter got into that game and started playing the way he did in the first 2 weeks of the season, like they're running away with that victory. The
Oh,
entire fan
they were
base going
not, bro.
insane. They're at
Travis
home.
Hunter played for the whole first quarter, bro. It was nothing special going on. Like, oh, they're not gonna win.
Yeah, no.
Like,
Travis Hunter does not make that big of a difference.
The
It's not like they're
biggest
running-
difference
He does not
Travis
make
Hunter
that
made was
crazy of a
negative.
difference, bro.
His biggest impact was negative, the fumble.
That doesn't mean he wouldn't impact the game after that as
But
in
you
a
can't
positive
automatically
way.
Bro,
say
but
he
like,
would've
dude,
either.
the
But
guys
you-
on the team are nice. Like, they are
Right,
nice,
but you
bro.
can't just
Like,
sit here and
they
say
are nice.
they would have blown him out. You don't know what they would have done. They might have lost if he played. He could have fumbled again.
Dude, Oregon looks good though. Like they're blowing. I mean,
Bro,
I guess
no, they're
Texas is a
not,
tough game
bro.
to fight, but
Bro, they're not nice. Bo Nix is not
But
that guy.
This is my thing.
Bo Nix is not that guy.
I'm so happy Colorado are the underdog. I feel like they play worse when they're like
Oh,
supposed
God,
to.
it's
win.
personal.
I like when they're the
personal.
underdog. So this is great. This is where you throw the house on Colorado.
What's the line? What's the line? What's the money
Negative.
line?
He already said it minus 21.
I don't know.
You're heading on the road to one of the top 10 teams in the country. It's
Okay, you
going to
want
be
to bet it?
On what?
Minus 21. You got Oregon.
No, I'm good.
All right.
minus 21
do a
is kind of
straight bet.
crazy for a ranked
Yeah.
matchup. Is kind of insane, honestly.
I
Going
get a
minus
straight bet?
10?
Insane.
Can
A
I get
ranked
can I get a
matchup.
straight bet? Can I get a straight bet? Just a straight game? What you want, McCabe?
I don't think
you
anyone
want
would
it?
take it like straight unless
You
you
want
should
Oregon?
bet
You
the
want
book.
Oregon?
Bet the book if you're
Yeah,
gonna
Mike,
bet
I'll
straight.
take Oregon, Mike.
Come on. Let me
And
look
money
at the-
line, I
let me
think
look
they
at the
win.
line,
Mike,
too.
don't do it.
Mike,
don't do
Mike,
it.
bet
Don't
the
give him
bet.
under the
Mike,
bet.
bet with the bookie if you're gonna
Huh?
bet the money line. Bet with you're gonna
I
make a
wanna
lot.
I want to take money out of his money.
Yeah, but you're gonna
his
make
pocket.
4 to 5 times what you
I'm
make
gonna do
off
that.
of
I'm
him.
gonna do that too. I'm gonna bet with him and then take some other people's money. Because I'm
Mike,
should
bro.
duh.
Hey,
Don't amp him up like that. Hey, the odds
He's
for
the
them winning are
Heisman right
plus
now.
800.
He's the Heisman right now. Shadur's the Heisman right now.
No. Michael
Yeah, he
Penix
is.
is
He's the
playing
Heisman
better
right
right now.
My,
Michael
and
Penix
Caleb
has played better. And so has Caleb
Bro.
Williams, too.
Bro, be for real. Who has Michael Penix played this year so
He
far?
gonna beat Caleb, so
Doesn't
What you
matter,
like?
bro.
Bro,
all of
Shadur,
Colorado's
bro,
teams are unranked.
if it's done right now, Shadur's winning the Heisman.
No, he's
Bro,
not.
No, he's not,
Yes,
Mike.
he is. He has a ranked opponent win. He has a ranked opponent
They're
win.
not ranked.
Yes, he
They're
does.
not ranked anymore.
Who are
Bro.
they?
Oh
TCU.
my God.
They're not
They're not
ranked.
TCU.
They
They're not
was?
ranked anymore.
No, but it
That's
doesn't.
why if it's
And
oh
when they
my
look
God.
and when you look at it, you look at the end of the season where they're
Yeah.
ranked. It's not based on where you beat
It's
them
not
when
ba-
they were ranked.
Yeah,
Dude,
no.
TCU's gonna end up back in the rankings, bro. Like it's TCU.
No,
Like,
no. They
They're a
barely
lot
yes,
won
worse
they
than they
are,
were.
bro.
They're a lot worse than they were last year. They're not any.
Bro.
They're a shell of what they were last year as a team. Like Max Duggan looks like he carried that team to the college football playoffs, and Quinn Johnston obviously as well. But we'll move on to another team. Florida pulled off a massive win over Tennessee at home. Joe Milton, with all the hype coming into the season, could not end that streak of losses at the Swamp for Tennessee. I think it's now 10-1 in the last games, Florida over Tennessee in the last 11. So what are you guys' thoughts on that game? Is Florida back? And
no way. But it was an awesome game to watch. Like, I don't know why college football wasn't there, but I guess the Colorado game was crazier. But I don't know. But I loved that game was sick. Like every night game at the Swamp, like those fans are crazy. Like it was a good game. Graham Mertz looked good. Like I think the play calling in Wisconsin like kind of held him back a little bit, and like they just kind of really wanted to just use the running backs and really didn't let him. They didn't really trust him.
He also profited too from like a Wisconsin type offense where they're running the ball all over Tennessee as well.
Yeah.
Like Etienne and Johnson were just gashing
they were
them.
killing him. Yeah, I think Joe Milton, he's definitely gonna fall in the draft stock. Like people were saying him as like one of the top QBs to get drafted. Like he's not that good. Like he looked terrible, especially against an unranked defense. Like he looked really bad.
Yes, but there were also some great throws that you saw. Like he had one in the seam over the shoulder, like on a line 35 yards downfield where he's putting it like perfectly.
But then he's missing guys
Yeah.
like terribly, like on
Yes.
slants and stuff. Like it's so bad.
But like 287, 2 touchdowns, and interception on a road game against like one of the better environments in college football. Like you're gonna look at that
Yeah.
game at the end of the season and go, well, they could have won it, but I don't think it's the end of the world for them. I don't think they're going to be in the SEC championship conversation this year.
They're gonna get unranked, I bet. I think they won't be ranked by the end of the season.
It's possible
Tennessee?
that
I think Tennessee will.
the
Dude, they got Georgia. That's gonna be a loss, but I mean, I guess they won't drop that far.
that defense is not what it was in previous seasons, and they're not as explosive like in the wide receiver running back category as they have been with when they had Hyatt and who was the last other player as well? I can't remember. Cedric I don't want to say the wrong name, but they had two great receivers last year as well that they lost. So a lot of explosiveness out of that offense, and they didn't look like the offense of last year this year.
Like Tennessee's 23 right now. Like they're 23 right now. They got South Carolina, Texas A&M, Alabama. That could be 3 potential losses. At Missouri could be a loss. Then they got Georgia.
Dude, you saw what Georgia did this week. Like every game this season they've
There's
sleepwalked
no way
in the
they
first
lose
half.
to them, Andrew. No,
I know.
bro.
No, I'm saying they're lucky that it's the end of the season. Like Georgia's lucky it's the end of the season. If they played them next week, Tennessee versus Georgia, them coming off that loss and the way Georgia's coming into games so far this season, I think that would be a shootout. I think that would be a tight game to the end. But they play South Carolina, who's still looking for their first win of the season after losing to North Carolina and Georgia. So that's going to be a tough game too. We'll move on to the next one though. Unless y'all got any thoughts on that or no? All right, we'll move on. Kyle McCord looks like the QB1 for Ohio State. Obliterated that Western Kentucky defense, and Marvin Harrison looks every bit of the part, possibly a top 3 pick in the NFL draft this season. What are your guys' thoughts on Ohio State?
We look beautiful.
Whoa.
We look good. We looked amazing.
Like,
We look so nice, man. Marvin, blazing speed.
I mean,
hey, the passing game got it together. Hey, we just had rhythm. Travion, the run game looked there. It was the biggest part that scared me that we had no run game the first 2 weeks of the season. But Travion picked it up. Mine looked good. Everyone just was firing. The defense looked amazing. But it's against Western Kentucky at the end of the day. So,
I mean, hey, good little
they
tune-up game
look
before
good.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Hey, finna tear that ass up, man. We finna go to Notre Dame and shock the world.
Nah,
shock
I
the
think Notre
world.
Dame gets that, dude.
What's the
I
line for
think
that?
I don't know if we're underdogs or not.
No, Ohio State's favorite, I think, which is
Notre
kind of
Dame,
ridiculous.
bro.
Ohio State is favored by 3.5.
Bro, Sam
Yeah, it's
Hartman
gonna be a
looks
good
great
game.
this year, dude. Sam
Yeah,
Hartman
does.
Sam Hartman looks so good.
And dude,
does.
Estime has been insane. Like he has the most rushing yards in college
Rushing
football
yards,
right now.
500 already.
Yeah, like he's looked like they're a talent factory at the running back position. Like every year, and it never ceases to amaze how many running backs they have. Just like even when Kyron Williams was there, they had another guy right behind him that was ready to go. Like there's always a great running back in that Notre Dame offense. Obviously, the offensive line's always great, but the running back is always one of the best ones in the country.
Yeah, they
So
seem
then
to
once
be
again,
good at recruiting running backs though.
it's Notre Dame.
Dylan Edwards from
It's Notre
Colorado
Dame.
was originally committed to Notre Dame. So
It's Notre Dame.
they know how to get
They're
the
gonna
running back.
find a way to lose the big game.
No,
Biggest
Mike,
game of
not
the year,
this year because
gonna
they
lose.
actually have a quarterback.
This is the biggest game of their season,
Yeah, for sure.
and they're gonna lose.
Dude, Ohio
Lose.
State definitely looks a lot worse
Lose.
going into this game than Notre Dame.
No one can guard Marvin
True,
and
but
Nekma.
they can.
And
Is y'all
Nekma.
gonna
No
make
one
the
can
bet?
guard Nekma.
Is y'all gonna make the bet?
I got Notre Dame +3.
Come on. Come on.
We'll move on. Malik Neighbors, 13 receptions, 239 yards, and 2 touchdowns for LSU in a 41-14 victory at Mississippi State. And a statement win for the Tigers after that Week 1 loss. What are you guys' thoughts on them?
Yeah, LSU looks nice after that loss to FSU. Like they got embarrassed, and I think they're going to use that as fuel kind of for the rest of the season. It's going to be tough to get back, but I mean they can. I mean they went out. I mean they got Ole Miss at Ole Miss. That's a crazy game. Like going there is not easy to win. Then they also have to go to Alabama this year and win. I mean, then they'll have Florida, but at home, and Texas A&M too at the end of the year. That's always a tough game, but they can get back. I think they can get back into that. I mean, they have a chance to win the SEC. I mean, with Alabama looking kind of shaky, they'll get into that championship. I mean, they'll get into that championship, and they could maybe stun Georgia. I don't know. We'll see. They're good. They're going to be a good team to follow the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna be solid. I mean, I don't know if it's Neighbors' draft eligibility year, but I mean, we haven't really talked too much about wide receivers outside of Marvin Harrison that are eligible for this draft, and he obviously put a stamp on it. But the word on notice with that crazy first half, and I don't know. I don't see LSU getting back in the dance because I see FSU winning out, honestly, and holding on to that 4th spot for like pretty much like the year. So I don't know. And LSU always has like a hard journey to like make it back to like things like, and I mean, I see them in the championship and SEC championship, like getting their 2nd loss. So it's like, I don't see them making the dance at all too much.
Yeah, and I just we'll switch gears for a second. Multiple news broke during this podcast. Nick Chubb, as everyone suspected, is done for the season with a knee injury, as Kevin Stefanski reported to the media just a few minutes ago. What are your guys' thoughts on the Browns now without Nick Chubb in a season where Deshaun Watson's struggling? That offense seemed to struggle to move the ball today against the Steelers. What are your thoughts on them going forward?
I mean, as a Steelers
it's gonna
fan,
be rough.
Yeah, as watching that, it was just kind of sad. Like, it's just kind of like it just sucks, dude. Like when star players in the NFL get hurt, like it just kind of ruins the season. Like those type of injuries can just really just derail a whole season, which is like detrimental because it's guys only can like this team, like these teams are only going to be together once. Like they're not going to be able to bring every single person back again. Like like it just sucks. Like when stuff like that happens, and like I never wish it upon it. Like anyone's team or nothing. Like that stuff right there is it's just crazy. But I mean, it's a part of the game, and the only thing they can do is move on. And then their backup forward looked really good. I mean, against a good defense too. Like he looked like a beast. I mean, he had like basically a 70-yard touchdown, and then like he was just breaking tackles and just making nothing out of something.
Yeah, and on
So,
top of that, like in this market where Kareem Hunt's still on the free agency list, Leonard Fournette's still there, and it's now Cam Akers is on the trade block. Like there are multiple guys they can go out to get, and I think they'll be very aggressive in the coming days on the running back market just to add some depth for Jerome Ford in that backfield to complement him as well. Because Stefanski loves to run the ball.
They got a tough 3 games. They got Tennessee, Ravens, and 49ers. But all those games are at home.
And luckily they pulled out that week 1 win, like a massive domination of the Bengals. That helps out too.
Yeah, but all those games are at home, so that helps out. So I mean, you got Niners at home, Ravens at home, Titans at home. So, I don't know. I'm not too worried about them. I mean, Steelers got to take care of their business. So
now they do. There's no excuse.
No.
Hey, no excuse. Deshaun Watson, honestly, is gonna have to like pick it up big time. I know when he was in like in Houston, the running game didn't really exist like crazy. It was him doing Houdini work. So we're really gonna see what Deshaun Watson is like really about. See if he's back to his old ways or not.
I mean,
honestly.
he looked
and
terrible.
I hope to see so. He did not look good at all.
Hey,
but that Steelers defense did look really good.
But they did hit up Amari Cooper for a great game today. Like Amari Cooper looked every bit of the wide receiver.
I mean, it wasn't like it was decent throws, but like it was perfect coverage.
He was a lot of overthrowing.
It.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like Amari Cooper looked like the guy that you were paying for. Like, I think
he
that
made 2 amazing, third and long catches.
With Patrick Peterson like draped all over him too on that one.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to make plays throughout the season. I think Deshaun Watson is. I think he's going to embrace this. I think they're going to hang their hat on throwing the ball more now than they usually do under Stefanski. But I still think the running identity will still be there. And then the other one, Minkah Fitzpatrick is being evaluated for a chest injury at a local hospital. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
He like dove, landed on his chest, and like tried to stay in, but then came out and was like coughing like crazy. It looked like he was about to throw up. So like I don't even know what it could be. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but something really scary. And I just hope everything.
Yeah, it's super scary. Jesus, he was balling out in the first quarter.
Yeah, he was eating. He was eating
crazy.
Well, on top of that, like he was the one involved with that Nick Chubb hit. Like the 2 guys in that play are now.
He dove right at him at his legs. But I mean, that's every safety. Every safety's gonna hit a guy low, especially like a guy like Chubb. Like you hit him high, like he's not going down.
Yeah, especially like arm tackles aren't gonna work, especially when they're coming downhill. Like you're gonna miss if you try to jump one way or the other, jump high. So we'll see what happens with those. We'll switch back to college football. And we'll get into prepping some of the next matchups. We already talked about Notre Dame and OSU. We'll talk about Florida State and Clemson. Florida State barely escapes with a victory at Boston College. A tight game all the way through. And then Clemson obviously dropping that early game to Duke. Now heading in, a very different picture of what we were expecting this game to look like going into the season. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Speaking on the FSU game, I mean, they kind of got sloppy at the end, start off super hot. Just kind of got sloppy at the end. It was kind of their game to lose. And they kind of shot themselves at the foot, but ended up pulling away from the dub. I still think that's just a team that just was unfocused at the moment, but that's not really their identity.
Yeah, I think like it was kind of like a look ahead game. Like they probably weren't too worried about Boston College. Like they're probably like, oh, like we're gonna smoke them. Like we got to focus on Clemson. But so I mean, they got by. Like the BC QB had an insane game. So I mean, it was like a bandana night. Like for one of like, and like it was just like BC had a lot to play for, and I think Florida State was just kind of looking past them. But they got to win. Now they're on to Clemson. They're going to Clemson too. So I mean, it's not an easy place. I mean, Clemson's looked amazing after that loss. Like they've been blowing their teams out at home. Florida State, like this is, I think. I don't know, dude. I really need Florida State to win this game, and I can't see the Klubnik doing anything. Like I don't think he's good at all.
He's not that guy.
he's not good. Like he's not good.
He's terrible. I think he's terrible, bro.
Duke's defense kind of destroyed them. Like it's not like it's very hard to go into Duke and win. Like it's not like they have crazy fans or anything. So
yeah, and then that just calls into question with Dabo, who's not. He's like the old grandpa that doesn't want to change with the times, where he's not recruiting and using the transfer portal to his best like nature. Like there are so many guys that Clemson could just go out and get if they even just asked about them, and they don't because Dabo wants to build through recruiting and is not changing. Like you see what Deion did with a program that won one game last year. Like Clemson was one of the best, most prestigious college football teams the last decade. They won a national championship, and they just aren't even using the portal. It's incredible.
Well, even FSU, like they picked up, like they got a haul.
Like Keon Coleman, Keon Coleman, like bro, like those are guys that if Clemson went after, I guarantee. Like obviously not Keon Coleman. Florida State was his school, his home. Like he wanted to go back there. He wanted to go there at the start before Michigan State, but he couldn't because they didn't have. It wasn't like the coaching situation, all that. But I'm just like players of that level, that caliber would want to transfer to Clemson, but they are not using that.
I think Dabo's gonna get this. I think after this year, Dabo, like they're gonna like Clemson's gonna put the pressure on them. Be like I don't care what you say. Like you have to get these transfer players. Like you have to go dip in the portal. Like we're for street. Like we still have like a crazy good coach, like a crazy like popular program that kids like want to go to. Like they're gonna. I feel like that's what they're gonna tell them this offseason. Like it's not gonna be like Dabo's world anymore after, especially like losing the first game of the season to Duke, and they're gonna lose. I think they're gonna lose to FSU too, and they're gonna get like dominated. I think they're gonna like lose like by like a crazy amount to them. So I think they're gonna figure it out in the future. This is not Clemson's year.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the start of the season for them. We'll move on though. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. You mentioned Shedeur, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, Travis Hunter, all names that have been thrown around in the Heisman conversation. Who are your guys' picks to win the Heisman by the end of the season?
I mean, right? No, Mike. Not even close, bro. The way that some of the QBs are playing, dude. I mean, the way the Penix guy on Washington, like he's looked insane.
As you said, the Penix guy, Michael Penix has been one of the better quarterbacks in college football the last 2 seasons. He's just putting it all together this year.
I feel like he's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna like.
The passing volume is there. Like the pass and the games are going to be there too.
I feel like he's like a Hendon Hooker. Like he's a great college quarterback in a great system. Like he's not going to do much.
We're talking about the Heisman this year. They're playing. They're playing in one of the best conferences in college football. Like the Pac-12 this year, I think it was like 8 ranked teams in one of the polls this past week. It's like they're one of the best, and he's going to play all those tough games. And if he keeps balling out like this, there's no way he's not in the last 4, and no way he couldn't win the Heisman this season.
They finished the season 4 like crazy hard games. So I mean, I feel like 3 of them are going to be losses. So I think that's going to really kind of no chance for the Heisman.
I don't think they'll lose 3 games.
Dude, they got USC, Utah, Oregon State, and Washington State.
I think they're winning. Oregon State has not played an elite quarterback yet. Once they play, like they have to score. Like Uyungale's played well, but he's not. I don't think he's duking it out with Michael Penix. And then Washington State, like they played Wisconsin, obviously good win there, but I'd still think the overpowering offense that Washington has would outscore them in a game.
I mean, Oregon State plays Washington State this weekend, so it's in Washington State. So if they go there and win,
Wazoo is having a great season. Not enough people are talking about them like
crazy season,
and especially like back-to-back seasons beating Wisconsin is a feat of its own that people aren't talking about enough. Like
they're blowing out every team they play.
Okay, well they didn't blow out Wisconsin.
Yeah, but every other team like that, that's not good. Like they're blowing them out, like which is something like they don't really do that.
Yeah, especially
I got Shedeur.
Mike,
I think it's definitely.
I'm telling you, if he beats Bo Nix and Caleb, or beats at least, or even beats like Michael Penix, if he beats 2 of those 3 QBs,
I give him in there. I'll put him in there.
He's definitely good. I think he'll be in the conversation come the year. Come the end of the year.
Caleb Williams, I think it's Caleb Williams.
If you beat Caleb Williams, bro, if he beats him and they play them when Travis Hunter's not playing. So if he beats him when Travis isn't playing, he's Heisman. And I think it should be a final conversation.
I don't think it'll be done and wrapped in week 4 or 5, but I think if he beats him, obviously he'll be on track to do that. I think he'd have to do it, like continue to do it throughout the rest of the season, because their schedule's hard all the way through. Yeah,
it's hard all the way through.
Yeah.
They play a ranked opponent every single week besides Arizona and my school, Arizona State.
Yeah, they're going to have to
win. They're
going to have to win. They can't lose more than, I'd say, 2 or 3 games, because the Heisman's usually for one of the best teams in the country, their quarterback. Or their running back in Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram's case.
Yeah. Or Marvin could do it.
I mean, Marvin definitely could, because the numbers he's putting up every week, if he continues and expands on that, like he is like, he's so fast, and to go with his like freak like of nature, like build too, like
he's
like
6'4".
He has
but they
everything.
Played three terrible teams. So,
okay,
bro,
but he was doing it against against Georgia last year, like until he got injured.
He'll always do good in like those big games too. Like, and they're gonna have to feed him if they want to win those big games. So.
And McCord looked good. Like McCord looked like an Ohio State quarterback this past weekend. Like
he looked like a real system QB. Did look like a real system.
That's what I'm
QB.
saying. He looked like an Ohio State quarterback, because Ohio State quarterbacks haven't had a good track record of making an NFL. Once they leave those insane wide receivers, then have to go and play with a bad team because they're getting drafted highly. Like, they're not putting it together the way they do in Ohio State.
Kyle McCord will win games. That's it. He won't dominate games, but he will win games, bro.
That's all they need too, and that's all Ryan Day wants. He doesn't want to be on the hot seat. Like, he wants to win games and not be on the hot seat.
We got some good recruits coming in, though. We got some crazy good recruits coming in.
Well, that'll do it. Episode 11 of Beyond the Scoreboard. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time next week. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you next time.